obviously, with Hop not being here anymore, that's going to open up things for everybody. He had a lot of targets, and then so those targets got to be filled up with other guys. So, we all going to be able to get it done, and I feel like it's going to be a great season.
Will Fuller, Texans receiver, who can be very, very effective when healthy, and they're hoping that he will be this year. Look at the moves for this franchise, and the biggest name on there, DeAndre Hopkins, gone. Traded to the Arizona Cardinals. One of the realities, he wants to be paid like Julio Jones, and the Texans aren't willing to do that, especially with Deshaun Watson on deck for a major contract. So DeAndre Hopkins out, Chris. Texans, just kind of have that weird sense of they overachieved last year to win the division. They finally found a way to win a playoff game. They had the Chiefs on the ropes in the divisional round, up 24-0 in the first half. But and Deshaun Watson, you and I are both believers. But is there enough around Deshaun Watson, especially now that DeAndre Hopkins is gone?
I think there definitely is. I don't worry about Houston's offense. I don't. When I sit here and just look at it, and I know it's on paper and everything like that, again, you're right. It seems like it's a team that consistency is not always its strength, but yet we keep looking up and going, oh, they're in the playoffs. Oh, they're 10-6. Oh, they're 11-5. I mean, and that partly is because, hey, Billy O'Brien, he's a tough SOB. And then you got a quarterback who's a superstar. I mean, he really is. He is special. We'd be making a much bigger deal about him if it weren't for Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. But you've heard me say this, and I think in a lot of ways, without DeAndre Hopkins with the Houston Texans can be a blessing for this offense, because I do think it could be a little bit more offense by committee instead of what we saw so many times last year. And I know we showed some clips where we just went, hey, it's third down. This team knows they're throwing to DeAndre Hopkins. This is what they do. It was a telltale sign. Now, man, Brandon Cooks, Fuller, Randall Cobb, who does what? They're interchangeable in that New England offense. They can all do a little bit of everything. And if Will Fuller can stay healthy and be that down-the-field guy with one of the best down-the-field throwers in the game, their offense, I think, is going to have to carry, the team a little bit. But I think the offense could be actually more special, especially because they've got an offensive line finally rounded into shape. And David Johnson, we'll see what he's got. But if he's got something and can be back to the guy we once saw, I go, damn, this offense is going to be one of the 5 best in the league, because these are some pretty damn good, talented receivers, running backs, and, of course, the quarterback's a superstar.
Remember the Texans-Colts game where, they shut him down? What was it, a 4th down play?
That's what I'm talking about. Right.
Darius Leonard after the game said, we knew to go after DeAndre Hopkins. That's who they have. That's what they have. That's who they're going to trust.
The Kansas City game. Remember that? The regular season game. It was the same thing. It was a 4th down at the end of the game, to your point, and it was exactly the same thing. It was Watson got the ball. Oh, wait, DeAndre Hopkins, I'm supposed to throw to him. He's not open, and it ends up an incompletion, and the game was over. So thank you for verifying my point is what I'm saying.
You're taking away the crutch. If you
Right.
trade DeAndre Hopkins, you're taking away the quarterback's crutch, and you're forcing him to diversify his looks in the passing game. And that this may be a key ingredient. I can't believe I'm getting behind the idea that the Texans are better off without DeAndre Hopkins, because I don't think they are.
I hear you, but you can see the logic a little.
The next level in the development of Deshaun Watson is to get him to throw it to the open guy, not to the guy.
Right.
And he throws it to the guy, and he waits too long. Chris, to your point that you make all the time, Deshaun Watson treats too many plays like they're the last play of the Super Bowl, and he extends and he extends and he extends. Why? Because he's waiting for DeAndre Hopkins to get open.
There's no doubt about it. Yep, there is. There's no doubt. Or he's a little greedy at times, looking for a big play, and you just go, man, Deshaun, you got a 5-yard completion, throw it there, and then you won't have to make some unbelievable play where, yeah, you might make it, you might not. But, of course, we've seen him take a beating doing that type of stuff, too. And I love the guy. I mean, he's one of my favorite players to watch in the league, and one of my favorite people, to hear interviews from and everything like that, to where, I know we've had a lot of conversations about that. Don't take those car crash hits. I don't want any more car rides to Jacksonville with a punctured lung, so you got to go play a football game and that type of stuff. I mean, he's a special competitor. So the offense, that's my logic, Mike. You explained it really well. I think in the development of Deshaun Watson, it might go a long way for him not to have DeAndre Hopkins there. It's going to force him to see the offense and the picture of the play in totality more instead of like, oh, I just trust this guy. Let me go to him. Me and him make it happen all the time, and I'm going to go back to that well. And I just don't know if that's not enough to carry your team, I don't think, into a Super Bowl or anything like that. You know, Mahomes, oh, wait, you got Tyreek Hill? Okay, I got Sammy Watkins and Kelsey and running backs, and I'll spread the ball to them. That's fine. You do that. You know, I want to see that from Watson now, to go to that next guy, the next group of guys, spread it out, spread it all around.
And let me just say this real quickly. Last hour we were talking about the Browns, and I said maybe Baker Mayfield needs to shed the saltiness when it comes to things that he may not like that people in the media say. And I mentioned Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray. I mean, nothing bothers Deshaun Watson.
No.
He's got the perfect quarterback demeanor. You can say anything, you can do anything, and he's just going to go to the next play. And that's the part of this that could make the DeAndre Hopkins trade work. He's not going to sit around and mope and sulk and pout over the fact that DeAndre Hopkins is gone, even though he clearly wasn't thrilled about it when it happened. Now you move on to David Johnson at running back, Will Fuller, Brandon Cooks arriving via trade with the Rams, Randall Cobb, free agent signing, Kenny Stills still there, part of the trade that they did with the Dolphins last year. You know, if those guys are healthy, and that may be a big if, especially with Fuller, and we love Fuller as a player, but you got to be on the field in order to play and play well. If those guys are healthy, if those five, Johnson and those four receivers are healthy, that gives Deshaun Watson plenty of options, Chris.
Oh, it definitely does. I mean, you know, it's an offense. Again, it's New England. We know, and they know how to spread the ball around and do different things. And we haven't seen that from Houston, and I think that'll be big. And listen, the other aspect of this, they need to be that way, I think. You know, the one thing we lose, and I think one of the reasons we're a little bit like, what are the Texans, and you know, how good are they? You know, the defense stunk last year. There's no other way to put it. You know, and of course they lost one of their best defensive linemen in DJ Reader to free agency. So they need some of these guys in the secondary, some of these young guys, some of these guys in Vernon Hargraves, who they got from Tampa last year, and Gary and Conley, who they traded from the Raiders. They got to show up and play better too. But, you know, J.J. Watt's still real good. You know, but there's not a lot of household names on that front seven that people are going to know. And the run game and pass game last year, they were bad in both areas, especially the pass game. And they might have to work some of those kinks out early in the year, and that's where they're going to have to rely on this offense and Watson, at least maybe until that group comes along and can hold their own.
Underscoring your point about the defensive struggles, you're up 24-0 in the first half of a playoff game and still give up 51. I mean, think about it. You're spotted 24, and you're up. And your defense still has an epic collapse and gives up more than 50 points to the Kansas City Chiefs. You know, I just wonder what kind of a scar that leaves on this team. We asked Peter King about that yesterday because he did his latest Football Morning in America focusing on a day in the life of the Texans training camp. I mean, not only was that the last game you played, it's the next game you play. How do you get this team ready to go back into that same environment, minus the fans?
Yeah.
And face that same team? How do you change that outcome, Chris? How do you come out of there with a better result? And if you get up by 10, 17, 24 points, when do you start bracing for the onslaught from the Chiefs?
Well, you know, those are real questions, no doubt. And I think the one thing that's going to motivate them continually here throughout, you know, training camp and going up to this game is that Bill O'Brien's they're going to still be watching that film. And it's going to be a fear motivation, I think, where they're going to look at it and go, damn, if we don't change some things up and play better, we're going to get run out of the gym by Mahomes and company once again. So that is a very real aspect. I mean, fear is one of the greatest motivators there is. And, you know, that's going to be interesting to watch, no doubt about it, Mike. You know, and then again, we go into it because I like doing this. You look at their early season schedule. Great Scots, Batman. I mean, whoa. At Chiefs, Ravens, at Steelers, Vikings. Woo, that is a tough four. And then, you know, in that division, as we know, the AFC South so competitive. You start out 1-3, something like that. I think this year in the AFC South, where, you know, there's stability with the Tennessee and the Colts and Phillip Rivers being there now and everything like that. Man, I don't know if you'll be able to climb out of that hole in that division this year.
The good news is the Texans went to Kansas City last year during the season and won 31-24.
Yeah.
You know, if you're Bill O'Brien, how do you balance what film you show? How much of the film from the regular season win, how much of the film from the playoff loss as you try to get these guys ready? You try to get these guys to the point where they're not intimidated by this Chiefs team, because we have gone on in there and beaten them.
Yeah, they'll be able to lean on that. Now, do I think they had a shamrock and a rabbit's foot up their butt that day? Yes, I do. You know, they were up 17-0. If you remember, that was that game where Mahomes threw the deep pass down the field, and they're going to get pass interference, and it's going to be down to the 1 yard line, and they overturned it, and it saved the Texans. It really did. So, you know, it'll be interesting, and I'm interested in this Houston Texans team. I mean, listen, worst case, best case, what do you see, Mike? I don't know. I mean, they're another team I look at and go, I'm not shocked if they win the division. They could go 11-5 and 12-4. I wouldn't be shocked by that. But I don't know.
They could go 7-9.
They could
go 7-9.
I think that's about this. That's the floor I see. I can't even give them 6-10. Deshaun Watson ain't going 6-10. That ain't happening. He's too good. So 7-9, and I think that would even take some wheels to fall off. I almost want to say 8-8 is as bad as it can get, but I'll go 7-9 for absolute worst case scenario.
The team they beat in the wild card round made it. Wait a minute. The team they beat to get to the division, not in the wild card round, because they wouldn't have made it to the AFC Championship game if they lost in the wild card round. Duh. The Titans, who finished second in the division, made it to the AFC Championship game. The Colts have reloaded with Phillip Rivers. I mean, this is a tough division. The Jaguars are the only team that people are writing off.
Right.
And they may be a team that, they get lucky under Gardner Minshew and it all falls together. So it's going to be a tough year for the Texans. A defending champion, a two-time defending division champion that we just are kind of looking at saying, do we really think they can win that division? I'm not sure, but I agree with you. Best case, they win the division. Best case, maybe they get to the AFC Championship game. Worst case, they tumble and they fall out of the playoff chase altogether. But we both feel strongly about Deshaun Watson. They're going to be in the conversation for as long as Watson is on the team, and maybe before the start of the season, we'll find out that Watson has the long-term contract that will ensure his future as the quarterback of the Houston Texans.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.